27 on the LC79 series after installation of a PDI front mount intercooler. There was boost fluctuations as shown on the boost gauge, and on a recent trip, loss of boost altogether. Error code on the computer was C1425 open brake circuit. That's been resolved, and the computer was reset simply by disconnecting the battery, leaving it for a few minutes and then connecting again. Of course, that didn't resolve the boost issues. Never assume that a mechanic is going to do the best job or a job to the standard that you expect. In previous photos I've taken, I've shown how they've connected the boost gauge to the manifold, and you can see down here where my fingers are, there's the original white PVC line and a black plastic hose, and they were secured by a zippy tie, and I could turn the white hose inside the black hose, so I disconnected that and put some super glue there and put a zippy tie back on. Where it connects up to the manifold, where my finger is here, that was pushed over a barbed end and zippy tied. When I pulled that off, the end of the black hose was ripped, so I've trimmed that off and I've heated it up with some hot water, stuck it back on, stuck some super glue there and zippy tied it back up. Not the best outcome, but they didn't tell me they were going to leave it that way. Incidentally to the boost issue, once I pulled the grill off, I noticed that the whole front trim along down here has been trimmed. I did expect some trimming, but I expected that they'd either tell me that it was untreated or that they'd treat it. So it's left raw. I'll have to clean that up and treat it. Back to the boost issue. Now there's some hose clamps down here. Wherever there's flexible hose lines into aluminium pipe or into stainless pipes, this flexible black pipe, and there's hose clamps, and I've gone through around with an 8mm ring or 8mm socket and tightened all them up on the inlet side of the engine or the outlet side of the intercooler. A little bit trickier down this side from the between the turbo and the intercooler. Trickiest of all, and that's why I've pulled the wheel off and I've pulled the shock absorber off, was getting to the inlet side of the turbo this side. These ones not so bad. This one up here, not so bad. But there's another hose clamp just behind here. It was orientated so that it was on this side of the hose facing up, and I've got big clumsy hands and I could never get in there, and I couldn't get a screwdriver in there, and I couldn't get a ring open ender in there. So I did manage to get my hands in there eventually and undid the clamp, reorientated it so I can get access in down here. Let's see if I can zoom it in a bit. There it is there, probably not the best focus, but that's it there. That took about half an hour to get that tied up, so I've re-tightened that up with an 8mm socket. I've also tightened up all the inlet side of the turbo hoses as well. So up here, it's a hose clamp, another hose clamp here, and a whole bunch from the airbox out as well. They're a little bit loose. So that was the lesson on, oh sorry for moving around so fast, that's the lesson on this, hopefully this boost issue. I've yet to put it all back together and take it for a spin and see if I've still got that issue or not. Hopefully that's resolved it. Certainly the hose clamp behind here was a little bit more than finger tight, not much more. Certainly after I got a 8mm ring opener ender in there, eventually after probably about a turn and a half, it was finger tight. Again, don't assume mechanics that you've never used before are going to do the best job. Hopefully it's an exception rather than the norm. That's all on this lesson. Cheers.